Excellent.
Yeah, so I love the premise of the show. I mean, it's amazing. The
Thank
last
you.
ship, the whole virus, and just not knowing the unknown. So, what was the inspiration for this as to why you wanted to take on this project?
Well, Michael Bay's people came to me about it. It was they had been approached by TNT, who had the rights to this book that was written in the '80s, and I then went to my co-creator Steve Kane and brought him into the process, and we started to talk about how could we do this in an updated way. And we realized, it was a Cold War book that was written about, Russia and the United States and a global thermonuclear war. And we realized that that was incredibly bleak. It didn't feel as topical, felt a little bit dated. And we talked about how can we create a similar dynamic of a ship alone at sea, trying to survive, and what can we add to it? We started saying, well, pandemic feels very, very topical, very, very scary, and most importantly, there's a way to defeat it. And so we came up with this idea of having the scientist on board the ship who's actually investigating the source of the virus, so that when they figure out that most of the world is dead or dying, that not only are they put into the in extremis situation of having to survive, but that there's hope. Really, the show could be called The Last Hope, also, as well as The Last Ship. Because they are the last best hope, these 216 people, to really legitimately save the world. And that gives the show both this incredible drive and drama and urgency of everyone's dying around us, how do we survive, but the flip side is there's an optimistic, hopeful bent to it that I think makes it really enjoyable for the audience. Is how are they going to do it? How are they going to get this done? How are they going to survive? How are they going to stay alive? What happens when the Russians are chasing them and they want it? They want the cure from them, or they want the ingredients for it, and they want the scientist. How do they get enough food and fuel to stay alive to just keep her going? How do they get her supplies that she needs? So those are all the things that it's such a rich idea, and you'll see when you see more of the episodes, every episode really has a different flavor. It's all of a piece. It's all the same drive and urgency of let's find the cure, but each episode has its own different flavor that really makes you feel like you're tuning in for something. Same characters, but something different every week, and that's really, I think, one of the accomplishments I'm really proud of in terms of what the first season is.
That's great. Now, do you feel like there are any real life events that also help fuel the writing of this?
Well, we researched the science and the Navy part very, very diligently, and the premise of the pilot that this ancient microbe was released from the melting permafrost in the Arctic is a factual thing that scientists are genuinely concerned about. With global warming, with the melting of the ice, there are these ancient microbes that are getting released into the air, and they're genuinely concerned that it could get picked up by birds and brought over to humans, and because they've been buried inside for hundreds of thousands of years, we have no immunity to these. It could be something as essentially the same level as a flu, but because we've had no immunity to it, it could devour us. And the other thing that comes up in the pilot is, was it altered? Was it then altered? And that can happen. That can happen both with someone trying to take advantage of a situation and weaponize it, or it can happen accidentally. Scientists in their lab, as they look at these viruses, they do things, they tweak them, they alter them to try to work on it and create a vaccine, and they could actually, by accident, make it worse. And then what if it gets out? So I won't reveal how it happens, but I can promise you that it's not just that this virus is taking over the world. There's a fun mythology in the show of figuring out how did this happen, who started it, and why, and those are all things we're going to find out over the course of the season.
I love the premise. I'm really excited to see it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Stephen Kane, and we have a new show
Yes.
on TNT, and it's called The Last Ship. Can you tell us more about it?
Well, The Last Ship is a story of a naval destroyer out on the open sea when a pandemic decimates the planet, and they have on board their ship a scientist who thinks she may have the makings makings for a vaccine, and so their goal is to stay alive long enough at sea to help her get what she needs to make a vaccine to bring it home and save the planet. In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know you've done a lot of shows where there's a lot of action-packed, action thrillers, things like that. So do you see a lot of those elements in this new show, or is this a completely different feel, or how do you perceive it?
No, this is definitely an action adventure show. And I think people will come for that at first, but I think it's about so much more than that. I think once they get into the characters, one of the great things about doing this show and the privilege we had working with the Navy is we got to create a world. Every show has to have its world, whether it's a precinct house or a courtroom or a meth lab, whatever the show is has its world. This is a unique world. You don't see too many shows set on Navy destroyers. So that was a chance for us to have a new playground in which to create a story. And we found that the setup of the show allowed for such great action adventure stuff to happen, but you have 216 characters on the crew of the ship, not to mention everyone they come across. And that's what's hopefully going to keep people interested, is these different characters and the different conflicts they go through. It's also a meditation on leadership. It's a meditation on how people behave during the most extreme situations, the apocalypse. It's a meditation on the ethics of pharmacy research and vaccine making, and the politics of pandemics. So, it's smart popcorn, as Michael Wright likes to say, because I think that you could just watch it for the fun, and every episode is really exciting and great and like a mini movie unto itself. But hopefully it's got a lot of really cool stuff to think about,
Absolutely, and especially, I could see there's, as far as the bacteria, a new virus or whatnot. Now, were there actual real events that kind of spurred this on or influenced you to pick up this project?
Well, I remember I had read something about the melting permafrost due to global warming, and how bacteria, microbes that were buried for millennia, that we've never faced as a species, got released into the air. And that's kind of the last I heard of it. And then, so we kind of included that idea into the origin story of our virus. In our version, it got picked up by migrating birds and brought down to the civilian population. And the way it started with us is it started in the Middle East. And then, as we learned in the pilot, it looks like someone may have altered this virus and made it much more deadly. So then you bring in the idea of the politics and the science of vaccine making. It just so happens that in the year or two since we wrote the pilot, one, they found a huge virus in the permafrost. Luckily, it only kills bacteria. And two, they have the MERS virus ravaging Saudi Arabia now, which is a virus of unknown origin. I think it may be coming from camels. They're not sure. So, I think we're putting the science into science fiction, and that's important to us. We want to get the science right. We want to get the military stuff right, and then we want to really get the human nature stuff right, which is, of course, that's where the speculative stuff comes in.
So in other words, it's melding science and social events and humanism and making people think what's going on in the world today.
What you just said is great. It melds science and humanism and current events and makes us think about what's going on today. Yeah, absolutely. All while giving you great action, adventure, and excitement, and great characters.
And entertaining us.
Yes.
While making us think.
One of my heroes is Alfred Hitchcock. He would make stories that you just, edge of your seat, excitement and thrill, but then you would think about them later on. They were not just disposable. That's a great goal to have, to let people be entertained. Don't try to preach to them, just entertain them, but then let them say, gee, what would happen to me if I was on that ship? Or how would I feel? Would I want to be with this captain? Does he know what he's talking about? Why is he still the captain? He's not being paid. I'm not being paid. I'm not even in the Navy anymore. Just because he's got a maple leaf on his lapel, I have to listen to him, and he gets the big bedroom. What if I want the big bedroom? These are the things that come up. They naturally come up. I want to get off. I want to find my family. Well, you have a mission. How do I bring out the best in you as a leader and help you help yourself and help the mission? Because if I lose you, I might lose that person too. And then what am I going to have? I'm going to have a ship without sailors. So we imbibe the culture of the Navy honor, courage, commitment. We bought it wholeheartedly because we respected it, and we were really amazed at the people we met in the Navy. And we took that as a sounding board, and springboard, and they recognized that we're going to change things and make it dramatic, and do things our way, and we're not always going to have our hat on the right scene or salute properly. We'll do our best to, but we took all that, took the science which we found and made it real, and then just threw it into this cauldron and said, okay, what stories are we going to tell? And when somebody asked if we have another season in us, I think we have 7 more seasons in us because there's a lot of story to tell.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I just love where it's going. This is
Cool.
exciting. I'm real excited.
Thank you so much.
Tell us about your character on the show.
I play Master Chief Russell Jeter, who's the highest-ranking enlisted man on the show. He's kind of the third-ranking guy on the ship.
Yeah.
And his job is to kind of make sure that everyone is okay in what they're doing. I'm kind of the father, priest, counselor for everyone on the ship, including the captain and the XO, the people above me. And I keep everyone on mission. I make sure everyone's okay emotionally, personally, so that they can do their jobs.
And then I think like when you all were shooting and preparing, you were actually in the actual space of...
We were an actual destroyer. We were actually on the USS Dewey, but we were on the USS, I can't remember the name of the first ship we were on now. Our ship is called, our fictional ship is the Nathan James, but we worked on actual ships, the USS Dewey and the USS Halsey. And so we filmed the entire pilot on the USS Halsey.
Wow.
So we didn't have a set for the pilot.
Wow.
The entire pilot was on a ship, yeah.
That's amazing. So that really helped as far as your character, getting into the moment and everything.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I was saying earlier, I didn't have to imagine, like you could get those things out of the way, like whether the ship is real, your uniform, all those things, and all you had to do was imagine your character, the situation, the person you're with, and what this overall situation you're dealing with. That's all I had to worry about. It was
Well,
great.
that's great. Well, what's the thing that that we should look forward to on your character? Any major things? Oh, or is it a kind of a...
Well, I can't give away too much, but there are times when I have to use all my skills. There are times when I have to fight. There are times when I have to just personally give of myself in the service of another character to make them, to get them where they need to go, or to lift them up if they're down.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of moments like that where I have to reveal things about myself
Wow, so
that are painful, possibly just to help someone else. So.
this is a great role, and the whole premise of this virus and not knowing how many people die.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's scary. It's exciting. And I'm one of the characters that gives kind of the emotional side of things because I relate to the people more than the things. Like there's scientists to deal with the virus, there's the captain to deal with the ship and the situation, and then there's me to deal with the people and what's really going on with someone. So like you're doing this function, but how are you? And it's how's your head holding up? How is your mind and your heart holding up? So.
Wow, that's a great role. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Well, thank you so much.
Sure, nice to meet you.
Tell us a little bit about your role on this new show that's going on.
So I played Danny Green, and I'm a Navy SEAL, and I get to do a lot of cool stuff on this show. You know, I have a really great romance saga that takes place. I get to do a lot of action. It's a lot about brotherhood for me, and there's a lot of unknown that my character goes through, and how do you deal with these extraordinary circumstances? And it really taps into the human level of like when you have so much on your plate. My character just has a lot to deal with emotionally. And how do you put that aside and deal with your mission? There's just a lot of stuff that a lot of heartache that I have to go through throughout the season. So it's really exciting as an actor. You get to play all the cards. You're playing good guys versus bad guys. I get to have this forbidden romance, and it's forbidden. So I really get to play. It's a pretty dynamic character. And I'm
yes, but I don't know.
pretty happy to play it.
Would you feel like it's more thriller, suspense, drama?
Well, there's a couple of moments. There's a moment.
Everything you just said. It's thriller, suspense, drama. I mean, it has comedic moments to it. It's got those a lot of moments that pull at your heartstrings. So I think a lot of men are going to want to watch this show because of the action. It's got Michael Bay all over it. But I think what's going to happen is they're going to have their little heartstrings tugged at through this and maybe be more invested than they thought they would emotionally. So there's really a lot that went into the character dynamics and the things that we have to struggle through in order to try to find this cure. So it's a ride. The Navy has a slogan. It's hit hard, hit fast, and hit often. And I think The Last Ship, we really stay true to that.
Wow, that is amazing. So, and did you actually work with U.S. Navy SEALs?
I worked a lot with U.S. Navy SEALs. Michael Bay, his first instruction to me was get to know the Navy SEALs, breathe them in. So I surrounded myself with the guys that happened to be on set, and all of them have had multiple tours. They've been in the Navy SEALs for a long time, and I really got to pick their brains on just like a really intimate level, and got to find out who they are as people and about their training and just about the extraordinary things that they had to endure. Like they're mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, these guys are so tough. And I could just hope, me in my real life, that I could even come close to being the kind of men that these guys are. So it's very inspiring for me to stand by their side and just be inspired by these guys.
So you didn't just play one, you became one throughout the course of it.
That's the hope, and being around these people that really have done it. They've been in these situations that require a lot of guts, a lot of courage, a lot of glory. There's just being around them. Hopefully, I breathed in enough of it so that I can be authentic, and that a Navy SEAL would watch this and be like, okay, you know what, that guy did his homework.
That is nice. That's what we like.
Yeah.
That's what we like. Well, thank you so much.
Hey, my pleasure.
Wonderful.